Am I the asshole for what I said to my boyfriend's cousin when he said that I'm a gold digger? My female 23, boyfriend Kyle, male 31, is from a very wealthy family. I went no contact with my family a few years ago, so I didn't have much financial help these past few years. I'm still struggling with money, but I have a good job and hopefully things will get better soon. Right now though, Kyle helps me a lot and I really appreciate it. Anyways, when Kyle introduced me to his family, some of them were extremely nice, especially his parents. However, some don't like me and think I'm a gold digger. One of them is his cousin Matt, 33. Am I the asshole for what I said to my boyfriend's cousin when he said I'm a gold digger? So his cousin Matt, male 33, has been making rude comments about us from the first day we met. Last night, I was invited to one of their family gatherings and Matt was also there. He then made some comments about how Kyle only got a younger girlfriend because he's rich and I'm after his money. I don't like drama, but I couldn't stop myself. I said, of course you would think like this. With a personality like yours, I don't think any of your girlfriends ever wanted you for anything other than money. Half of the family now hates me and calls me the asshole. His parents are on my side, but I got some really mean messages.
Am I the asshole for telling the bride her choice was inconsiderate? Disclaimer, this is not my story. My brother, 27 male, is getting married to his fiancée, 27 female, in September. I, 35 female, was asked to host and plan the bachelorette party with the bride's other future sister-in-law, Becky, 38 female. The party will be a 4-day event in August. Becky and I were asked to take over the planning when one of the bridesmaids dropped the ball. I was also asked to host the party at my house, which is out of state for everyone. My house and my vehicles will be used. There will be a total of 6 of us at the party. Becky and I have been planning this 4-day event for the past 3 months. We have bought party favors and gifts, collected funds from all attendees, made reservations for fun activities, and put together an itinerary. We spent a lot of time, energy, and funds preparing. There has been a few times I've turned down plans or friends visiting the weekend of the party because this is on the calendar. The bride called me and Becky yesterday and said her grandmother's beach house in her home state was available that weekend. Am I the asshole for telling the bride her choice was inconsiderate? Disclaimer, this is not my story. The bride called Becky and I yesterday and said her grandmother's beach house in her home state has become available that weekend and she wants a party to be there instead. She said it's closer for the guests, which is 4 out of 6 of us, and it's where she wanted it originally. She then said her cousin, who originally dropped the ball, would be taking over the planning. The bride said that she had been thinking about this for the past month and didn't want to loop us in until she officially decided. When she shared this, I was a bit frustrated and I told her canceling something like this for a different location was basically pulling the rug out from under our feet. And that she's being inconsiderate to the fact that Becky and I were asked to take over planning, already had everything lined up, and have spent time and energy coordinating with all the guests and more. She said the decision should be hers to make and we shouldn't make her feel guilty about it. I think she should feel guilty. I do see her side, but her decision to completely change things that have already been in the works for a few months to make a very special 4-day trip seems crappy. Am I the asshole for telling my niece why I kept my distance from her and her parents growing up? Disclaimer, this is not my story. I, 42 male, have a niece Lily, 18 female. Lily is the result of an affair my ex-fiancé had with my brother while we were still together. I was led to believe Lily was mine throughout the entire pregnancy and almost signed her birth certificate before my ex confessed out of guilt that Lily was probably my brother's. We did a DNA test and Lily wasn't mine. During my teens, I got into an accident which left me infertile. The doctor said my chances of fathering a child were slim to non-existent, so you can imagine how crushed I felt when I discovered that not only am I not going to be a father, but I was also betrayed by 2 people I loved. It's been years since and I did well for myself. I'm the first in my family to attend university and I landed a high-paying job right after graduation. I own my own business, invest in property, and since I'm both single and childless, I can spend my income however I please. My ex ended up marrying my brother. I'm somewhat cordial towards them, but I can't bring myself to fully forgive them for what they did. Am I the asshole for telling my niece why I kept my distance from her and her parents growing up? Disclaimer, this is not my story. I know Lily is blameless, but whenever I see her, I'm reminded how I was overjoyed with holding her in the hospital thinking she was mine, but she wasn't. I didn't visit her growing up, didn't take her on fun trips or give her lavish gifts like I did for the rest of my nieces and nephews. I wasn't mean or hateful to her, but I kept my distance. When my nephew turned 18, I decided that I would pay for his college education since I could afford it and his parents couldn't. I also rented in one of my apartments for cheap so he wouldn't have to worry about money. Then I did the same thing for 2 of my other nieces. Last week, Lily approached me during a family event and asked if I could pay for her education. I told her no. She then called me a jerk and asked why I was so distant towards her and her parents. I told her parents have enough money to afford her education and she shouldn't expect me to be okay with watching my ex and brother, who had an affair behind my back, play happy family in front of me. She was quiet for the rest of the event and left early. I got a call from my ex for yelling at me for ruining her family. She and my brother didn't tell Lily about what they did, but now she's so angry at them she decided to go live with her boyfriend's family. Am I the asshole for not stopping my husband from yodeling every time my mother-in-law asked me to have a baby? Disclaimer, this is not my story. I, 27 female, am married to my husband, 28 male, Keith. We've been married for 3 years now. My mother-in-law, Beth, and I have never had the best relationship, and at times we've gone low contact because of it. She has never wished me a happy birthday or gotten me any kind of present that wasn't an attachment of my husband's. She refuses to come to any big events for me, like when I got my master's last year, she said it wasn't a big enough deal for her to drive an hour to celebrate. I've grown to have thick skin, but also my husband normally handles everything for me. He's very much my bodyguard around her and stops her every time she tries to say anything, but it's never stopped her much anyway. Beth's new thing is kids. She has wanted us to have a baby since before we were married. She has an older son who is unmarried and will probably never have kids, so she always tells Keith he is her last hope of true happiness and always tries to bribe us into having kids. Last year she told us if we got pregnant that she would buy us a house, and she meant it. This woman really wants a grandbaby. Am I the asshole for not stopping my husband from yodeling every time my mother-in-law asks me about having a baby? Disclaimer, this is not my story. However, it's gotten to the point where it's all she talks about. She never talks to me about work, my hobbies, my family, or anything now. She basically only talks to me about children. My husband and I want kids just on our own time. This has really started upsetting me and it made my husband angry. My husband jokingly learned how to yodel when he was in high school, but it's more like he makes a loud obnoxious sound for a long period of time and calls it yodeling. A couple of months ago when we saw his parents, Beth started to make a baby comment again. He got so irritated he just started to loudly yodel. It was the funniest thing I've ever seen and immediately made her shut up. Ever since he does it every time she asks about kids. We went out for his parents' anniversary at a very nice restaurant. Beforehand, he told his mom very nicely we would really appreciate no baby talk. She thought because we were somewhere nice my husband wouldn't yodel, but she was wrong. He did it for so loud and so long that everyone in the restaurant was staring. It embarrassed her so bad she almost started crying. Am I the asshole for laughing at my boyfriend's freakout and not telling him I have a prosthetic earlier? Disclaimer, this is not my story. I, 22 female, have a prosthetic leg. I lost my leg when I was 3 years old in an accident. Honestly, I don't remember a time without the prosthetic leg, it's just normal to me. I've been seeing a guy, 25 male, for a couple of months, but the subject of my leg hasn't came up yet. A few days ago, I was having dinner at his place as he was cooking for me. When he was setting out the food, he bumped into the table and the vase went flying off and smashed against my prosthetic leg. He freaked out in a blind panic, wanting me to roll up my trouser leg in case I was hurt and asking me over and over again if I was okay. I admit I was startled and relieved it had been that leg and couldn't help but laugh. I reassured him it was fine over and over again, but he didn't believe me and demanded to see. So to prove it, I removed my prosthetic leg and showed it to him. Am I the asshole for laughing at my boyfriend's freakout and not telling him I have a prosthetic earlier? Disclaimer, this is not my story. So to prove it, I removed my prosthetic leg and showed it to him. I explained the situation and how I had lost my leg when I was little. I then told him it was fine if it was that leg and I was just relieved it wasn't the other one. He got upset with me for laughing, clearly embarrassed by the situation, and was more upset that I haven't told him about my leg yet. I apologized and explained it's not exactly an easy thing to work into conversation organically, and that I for sure would have told him before we slept together for the first time, as no one wants to discover the hard way. We had dinner, but the mood was ruined. He was clearly unhappy with me. I later got text from him saying he felt really upset that I hadn't told him earlier and how he's been worried. Also that he needs time to think about some things. My laugh wasn't at him, it was more in shock of the situation. I had been planning to tell him, but it's not like you can just say, oh, by the way, I only have one leg, naturally in a conversation.